Now it's autumn, wet and cold. On the Adriatic coast, Montgomery splashes around like his army. One is a long way from the holiday brochures on the banks of the Volturno in flood. During this rainy autumn, the Allies have at great cost reached the river Volturno, while the Germans have established a line of defense along the rivers Rapido and Garigliano, the Gustav line. Solidly supported against a barrier of mountains in the middle of the valley, like a sentinel guarding the road to Rome, is Monte Cassino. The road leading from Naples to Rome, the old Roman Casalina way, passes through the natural fortress of Monte Cassino, the site of a monastery founded by St. Benedict. At the foot of the cliff, like an advance post, is the little town of Cassino. The Gustav line passes through here. Kesselring intends to make it the Verdun of Italy. This mountainous barrier of over 150 kilometers slices right across the Italian boot. For 6 months, it becomes a German rampart. On Monte Cassino and in Cassino village, the German 1st Parachute Division is entrenched. Everywhere, on the slopes, in the ravines, on the heights, the Alpine Corps and armored troops are dug in. The Americans prepare an advance led by tanks and trucks, a sort of lightning attack. In the narrow valleys on the broken-up roads of the Apennines, their armored troops, conspicuous in the starlight, are going to suffer, as the GIs say, blood and guts. They will be easy prey for the German 88mm guns concealed in the peaks. The Allied armies are made up of a strange mixture of troops from all sorts of backgrounds and 17 countries: Indians, Canadians, Australians, New Zealanders, South Africans, and Maoris from the Pacific. There are even Japanese, recruited from those living in America before Pearl Harbor. They have been given the choice of internment or Italy. They fight well as the Nisei division. Badoglio's Italians have reconstituted a mountain division. Brazil has sent a contingent. The Polish General Anders commands a corps integrated into the British 8th Army. His men, prisoners of the Russians in 1939, liberated in 1942, have made a tour of the Mediterranean to come and fight at Cassino. It will soon be the turn of the French. Algiers, in the spring of 1943, is not only the principal Allied strategic base in the Mediterranean, but the capital of wartime France. In May, General de Gaulle's army, welcomed by General Giraud, marks the reunification of the French forces in the struggle against Germany. The goal from now on is to give the French army fighting equipment and to find them a place on the battlefield.
Commanders, soldiers, marine, airmen, officers, French colonists from North Africa, rise, help our allies, join them without reservation. France at war needs you. All those who have the courage to start again, despite treason and the enemy, are already approved, welcomed, and acclaimed by all French combatants.
Those who had escaped from occupied France, thousands of young volunteers, landed in Algeria. They had already escaped from the Germans and had to endure Spanish prisons. In exchange for the freedom of these French prisoners, the Spanish demand a ransom for each in the form of phosphates, minerals, and even gold. On all sides, in Algeria, Tunisia, and Morocco, Muslims and Europeans come forward to enlist. The first priority is to procure modern arms. Giraud and de Gaulle have obtained from the Allies sufficient modern equipment for their growing forces, and the Americans are the principal suppliers. Astonished, the French soldiers, who had fought in Tunisia with miserable material, discover the wealth of the American arsenal. The fleet is rearmed, the Air Force brought up to date. The American advance towards the Gustav line soon strikes the advanced German defenses. The 36th Texan Division volunteers for the difficult mission of taking the little village of San Pietro in Fine. Gradually, the combat takes on the dimensions of a great battle, longer and longer, bloodier and bloodier. The Texas representatives protest violently to the American Congress about the sacrifice of the 36th Division. Finally, San Pietro is conquered. Several prisoners are taken, and the dazed, unhappy civilians find freedom again. During the fighting, the survivors have installed themselves in the abandoned ruins of the town. By the end of the year, the French Expeditionary Force is actively involved in the war. To the old soldiers, the atmosphere is reminiscent of 1914-18, with the agonizing proximity of the enemy, who from the heights watches everything that happens. On January the 3rd, 1944, Juin gets his power of independent command from the Allies. The 3rd Algerian Infantry Division of General Monsalbert reaches Aqua Fondata, the last ridge before the Gustav line. Monsalbert installs his artillery there. Now they must climb down into the valley opposite the well-entrenched enemy by a dizzy road which has earned the nickname of Death Road. At the end of Death Road, French advance posts are set up, overlooked on all